Welcome, friends, to Farm Fresh Designs 59. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for all of your support. So let's get started. This is actually a board or a sign that I thrifted a good while back. And it was one of those signs that you get at Hobby Lobby that you might use at your wedding. Now, I'm going to be putting decoupage paper on it, but I just wanted to make sure that those words did not bleed through it all. So I tried to sand them down the best I could. Now look at this beautiful decoupage paper from Decoupage Central. It's a beautiful barn. And I'm going to share the link to all the decoupage paper in the description box below. Now, just to make sure that those words don't bleed through, I decided that I would paint the back of my decoupage paper. And that is no small feat at all. It takes a good bit of time, but it's worthwhile in the long run to make sure that it doesn't bleed through. So if you've painted your decoupage paper and it's dry, it actually tears easier than if you don't, because I guess that paint adds a little bit of thickness to it. So I'm putting it down with Pent Art decoupage varnish and glue. And I just put down a little bit at a time, and then I fold it down, and I'll use like a little piece of cellophane wrap and just rub out any kind of wrinkles. Then I fold it back up, and I just keep going. And I just work my way down until I get to the end of the piece. It's super simple, but I don't like to do it all at one time. I just like to make sure that that paper goes down well and there's no wrinkles. Well, right now, I don't want it to be a little bit plain. I want to kind of spice it up a little bit. And this is that rope that you get at the Dollar Tree. And I actually only used one pack. So I go ahead and I take my hot glue gun. And now I am using my hotter heat glue gun. So I've got those little pink finger protectors. And I just work my way all the way around the edge. And I do just a little bit at a time and press it down, because I want to make sure that it sets up real well. And also when I turn those corners, I want to make sure that there's a good square corner on it. I start down at the bottom and I end at the bottom. And then that way you don't see the seam. And when I do finish up, I cut that rope sort of at an angle and then just try to make it look like it blends in with that piece that I started with. And I really love the way it turned out. Now, there's all kind of things I could have done. I could have added some words to it and just done different things to it. But I really like just the sign with the decoupage paper and the rope detail. And I just think it's so, so pretty. And currently, some of the papers that they've got have barns on them. So if you're a country girl like me, barns are just a beautiful sight as you're driving down the road. So if you are interested, I'll make sure to put that in the description box below. And when you go to their site, you're probably going to see some more barns that you love. Now, this piece of decoupage paper has 2 different cows on it. And I do the one that's, well, she's more girly girl. So if you've watched my channel before, you know I'm kind of a girly girl. So I just go around and I tear, the extra white paper off around the edges. And if it doesn't come off good, then you can always use like a little water pen or a paintbrush with water on it. Now, this is one of those trays that you get at the Dollar Tree. And so I had painted it black a good while back with chalk paint. And I went on and put another coat of paint on it because it had gotten scratched while it was in my stash. And so it's got a fresh coat of paint on it. And because I was going to be painting it on black, I also painted the back of this decoupage paper. Now, I wanted to kind of soften up those edges, so I just took like a little makeup brush and rubbed it up against my IOD black ink pad, and it just kind of softened up those edges and made the paper blend more into the tray. Now, this mold is that large rose mold made by IOD, and it's called Juliette. And it's just one long or large piece of all these different connecting pieces of the roses. And so what's really neat about it is, yes, you can go ahead and put the air dry clay all in it, but really it's so easy to use a little bit here and a little bit there, and then just put it down as you need. And it just really looks so seamless. It doesn't look like you've pieced it together. And then I put a little bit down at the bottom, and then a few more pieces kind of here and there. And I put them down with Tight Bond Thick and Quick, which is the blue and the gray bottle. And because they're kind of like leaning onto the sides of that little tray, I make sure that I push it down into that little edge a little bit more than I probably would, so that when it dries, there won't be a gap on it. Because I want that mold to kind of roll over onto the side of that tray. Now, one of the things that I like to do is I like to wait until it's set up just a little bit, and then I use a very, very soft bristle brush to just dab paint on it already. And I think I'm probably using the Rust-Oleum Chiffon Cream. And it does really well, and I make sure that I don't press too much, on any of the details. And once it all dry, then I go back with my gold gilding wax and go all over the edges so that detail pops a little bit. Now, in that little cow's head, she's got some little pink flowers, and I'm not always the greatest at doing color on my molds, so I would prefer to be kind of safe on it and paint it with that chiffon cream and then put some gold gilding wax on it. And that just adds so much to it. So what do you think? And then afterwards, I realized I needed to put some gold gilding wax around the edges of that tray. And it is beautiful. I really think this might be my favorite piece today. Well, number one, because I love cows and I just love this one. So if you're liking the video so far, make sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already part of our family. Now, my next piece of decoupage paper, it is so neat. It's got two different images on it. One is a little girl and a kitty cat, and the other one is a little boy and a puppy dog. So this is just a thrifted frame that I've had for quite some time. And it's a mirror. And so I just actually use a glue stick, and I've already kind of played with it a little bit to decide what part of that image I want to go behind that frame. And I just use a glue stick on it. And once it sets up, I just go around with a little finger sander. And yes, that is a mirror, which means that it's glass, but it's not sharp on the edges, and it doesn't mess with the integrity of the mirror. And it does really well. And then I just kind of put it all together and, make sure that back edge is secure. And then I thought it was kind of plain. And so I decided that I would take some gold gilding wax and kind of brush over the edges. And I didn't like it. I ended up going back with gold paint. Now, the little boy and the puppy dog, this is actually going to be for my grandson. He's been begging me to please make something for him on my videos. So this is just a little box that I thrifted, and it was actually part of a set of nesting boxes. Now, the stamp that I'm using actually came from last Christmas. It's called Christmas Pups from IOD, and the little dog in the picture matches up with one of the dogs in the stamp set. And so and the little dog in the stamp set is on a box, and it matches so well, and it doesn't even really look too Christmassy. So it blends really well. And so I've painted it with Dixie Belle. It's called, Dusty Blue Paint. I painted the top and the bottom, and I'm going to put that piece of decoupage paper up on the very top, and I have painted the back side of it because it's going to be going in on a blue background, And if you are not used to decoupage paper, it does better on a white background. And if you're going to put it on a dark background, then it's better to paint the backside of it. Now, I want to put some words on it, and this is the IOD Harper mold, and it's the lowercase alphabet. And I am using a very high temperature glue gun to make my letters. Now, this particular glue gun has a real tiny nozzle, and it fits into those little letters really well. And I just go ahead and start working on all my different letters, and they dry really quick. And this is a secret that I learned from Victoria Conhurst on Facebook. She's with Eau de Ooh La La. And this is an amazing idea. So I just take the painter's tape, and the sticky side is sticking up. So when I put my little letters on it that say puppy love, then the little letters stick to the tape, and it makes it easier to paint over them. And then on the edges, I take another piece of painter's tape just to tape that down. And it is an awesome trick. And so thank you, Victoria, for giving all of us these great ideas. And so I'm also painting it with the Dixie Belle Dusty Blue. And I just kind of work my way around. And I'm going to put the word puppy up on the lid of it. And then the love is going to be down at the bottom, over in the little right-hand corner. And then after I got them all on and I put them on with my Titebond Thick and Quick, then I realized that they just blended in too well. So I just dry brushed some Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint over those letters just to make them pop out. And I like the way it turned out. And so this little box is going to be going to my grandson. So I'm going to make sure that he knows to watch this video, because I did tell him I was making him something coming up. And so he was super excited. Now, he doesn't have a dog, but I think he'll really like this project. So what do you think of these two projects? So you've got two for the price of one. And so it's really a good deal. So if you've got a little girl, then it's got one with a little kitty cat. And if you've got a little boy, then it's got one with the dog. And I just think they're precious. And you can see on that frame for that little girl that I just went back and I just used some gold paint and I just dry brushed over it, because that white just wasn't working for me at all. But I think that white paint on the puppy love really made it stand out. And look at that sweet little girl praying with her kitten. I just think both of them are so, so sweet. So if you've got small children, this is something that you can put in their rooms. Now, my next piece, and actually this is my last piece, this is a thrifted little, I guess it could be a cake pedestal. It's metal, but it's really lightweight. Now, I have used this decoupage paper previously, but I really like it. And right now, Jonelle at Decoupage Central, she's got a lot of sunflower stuff. And so I wanted to use it one more time. And I had an extra piece of it. So I put it down with the Pen Art decoupage varnish and glue. Now, I made sure that this was really good and dry before I used my X-Acto knife to cut around the edges. Now, this is something I'm going to be giving to my mom, because I gave her the last piece that was a little birdhouse, and that's in her kitchen. So I'm making this for her to put in her kitchen, and she may set it over there beside the sink and put some soap on it, or maybe like a little bottle of lotion. So I'm putting this finish on it, and it's called heavy duty extreme varnish, and it's supposed to be for outdoors. And I put several coats on it to make sure that it can be protected if water gets on it. Now, I'm using the same molds that I did when I made that birdhouse that matches it. So I'll make sure to share that link in the description box below with that video. And so this is the IOD Monarch mold, and I use one or two of the little teeny butterflies on it. And I use DOS air dry clay, and I push it in and make sure I kind of pull the edges off with the micro rim that IOD has on all their molds. But I also, I'm one of those people that like to use a credit card to run across the back and to make it really smooth. Now, the other mold that I used on the birdhouse was the IOD Primitive mold, because there's a flower on it that looks a lot like a sunflower. And so you'll notice when I go ahead and make the whole flower, but I don't use the whole flower. And so I just use my little credit card. And I use that to kind of maybe cut that sunflower in half, because I want to put that down at the bottom of the pedestal. So it looks like the sunflower is kind of fading onto that pedestal. And you don't see the bottom side of that flower, but by putting it down at the bottom, it just gives the appearance of that. And then I put that down, and I'm going to be putting a couple little butterflies on the pedestal, and then one on the little scallop piece. But I didn't want to go too crazy with the butterflies, because I thought it would just take away from, the whole piece. And then I thought about using the other side of that flower on the other side of the pedestal, and I laid it down, and I didn't like it, so I just took it off. Now I'm using Dixie Belle, and it's Rebel Yellow paint. And it's a light yellow, but honestly, sometimes when you paint it on, it looks a little bit dark. And so what I believe I ended up doing was just dry brushing over it with white. And then I realized that the center of that little sunflower needed to be dark. So I just used Waverly Truffle Color chalk paint and put some of that down in the center of the sunflower. And then I decided, well, let's do just a little bit more. So I just took a little round paintbrush, and I just would dab it, and I would make a circle on each scallop of that little pedestal. See those little edges? And I just think it turned out so sweet. And so I'm going to be giving this to my mom to match the little sunflower birdhouse that I made recently. So what do you think? She loves yellow. And with the spring coming and the butterflies, they'll be here soon, and all the beautiful flowers, it's just going to add so much color to her kitchen. So I'm excited about giving it to her. And it's a surprise. So friends, we are at the end of the video. And today I have used some gorgeous pieces of decoupage paper. And I'll make sure to link them down in the description box below. But I bet when you go to that site, you're going to see a lot of things that you do like. So in the comments below, tell me what is your favorite piece today. I believe mine's going to be the cow. But I'm kind of partial to cows. And I just think she's beautiful with those little flowers in her hair. So let me know which one is your favorite. And also, let me know, have you used decoupage paper before? Because once you use it, it's really hard to go back and use like napkins. And I will, but I'm getting kind of partial to decoupage paper. And then after this video airs, then I'm going to give this box to my grandson. So he's going to be so excited. And I can't wait for him to watch this video because, well, he's been begging me to make him something. So friends, thank you so much for all of your support. You just leave the sweetest comments, and I read all of them. And I always respond to all the comments. So make sure that you like this video and subscribe to my channel. And I actually will have another video coming out real soon because, well, I've been a busy beaver. So you be watching, and I'll see you in my next video.